Good afternoon, good people. I'd like to welcome you to this webinar hosted by Profiles International. My name is Ashim Asava, and I spearhead the marketing operations on behalf of Profiles International. And on behalf of Vicky, I'd like to welcome you all to this webinar, which I believe is going to be insightful, it's going to be gainful, and everyone will walk out of this webinar with actionable insights that is going to bring transformation in our daily engagement with our teams, those above us, those below us, those who are at the same level with us, and also I believe also at home. I believe this webinar will be very much beneficial to all. So once again, I'd like to welcome you. Feel free. And I think as we are admitting other participants, I think we can begin by just going into our chats. You can kindly let us know from where you are joining us from. You can state the town where you are in, the country where you are in, so that we can know who is joining us and exactly from where. So just feel free to go to your chats and kindly let us know where you are joining us from, as we are admitting more participants into the virtual room so that we can begin our webinar. Welcome. Wow, we have someone who's joining us from Hungary. Welcome, Phoebe. It's a pleasure to have you on this call. Tumaini, welcome once again. I can see Tumaini joining us from Dar es Salaam. Karibu sana from Nairobi, Kenya. Welcome to this call, this insightful webinar, Genos Emotional Intelligence webinar. Nairobi, Kenya, Judy, karibu kabisa to this call. Let us know where you're joining us from, the country, and also the town where you are joining us from. Karibu. Vicky, karibu.
Asante sana.
I can see we have Catherine from Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. I can see we have various people. Oh, someone from Ngong, Kenya. Welcome. I hope it's not very cold over there at Ngong. Wow, someone from Accra, Ghana. Welcome. Very much welcome. I can see the Genos tribe is joining from various countries of our beautiful continent. Karibu sana. So I think, wow, it's very cold at Ngong. Yeah, I guessed so, yeah. I think also in Nairobi city center area where I'm logging in from, it's also very cold. So I think, Vicky, I think I can welcome you so that you can welcome our guest, and then we can proceed from there. Welcome, Vicky.
Thank you very much, Shim, and I hope everyone can hear me.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Shim, and a warm welcome to everyone who's joined this call. We're very grateful to always host you and have discussions around all the interesting topics today. So my name is Vicky Karuka. I am the Managing Director for Profiles International, and I do, of course, I'm working hand in hand with Shim and the team. And what we do a lot of at Profiles International is basically be able to discuss all matters talent management. So we grow talent, we assess talent, we train talent, we look at organizations and their talent, which means then we assess culture, we see what we can help you with when it comes to culture growth. And our biggest specialty is actually molding cultures and bringing in the human elements that have now become so key when it comes to culture. So I think without further ado, I would like to welcome our very esteemed speaker to this webinar. Her name is Irene. Agreed to be a facilitator of this conversation and to share with us the things that she has learned over the 25 years that she has been experiencing, has been working as a human resource professional. So Irene Muinde has an executive MBA and also a Bachelor of Arts from University of Nairobi, and is a certified human resource practitioner. She's also a certified professional coach, and she belongs to our community of Genos certified emotional intelligence practitioner. So that means we work together in the area of developing emotionally intelligent cultures all around the continent. We have people in Nigeria, we have people in Ghana, we have all the way in North Africa, and of course in East Africa as well. And so we work together to push for cultures that support the emotional intelligence. India has previously served as the head of human resources at Total Energies Marketing Kenya before joining Total Energies Marketing. I have known her for a long time to also be the person spearheading conversations around learning, development, and all matters talent. Her current role right now is regional talent manager, and she oversees and implements the company's career and mobility programs for the eastern part and the southern part of Africa. So she's very much involved in career enhancing programs, development programs that help also achieve the organization's strategic goals. Her coaching philosophy is shift perspectives and achieve the extraordinary. Beyond her work, she is actively engaged in Christian leadership programs, especially in the youth and mentorship and women mentorship programs. She loves and training. She enjoys reading, she enjoys networking, she enjoys gardening, and she enjoys traveling. She's also honored to serve as a member of the board for the International Coaching Federation board for the Kenyan chapter for this year. So, as a person in leadership and career coaching, she seeks partnerships with people and clients who aspire to excel in their leadership capabilities. This is because she has extensive experience in human resources, and so she has seen what it is that makes people promotable. She has seen what people have who have grown up the ladder and been able to access better career opportunities. And so she's able to work with people to help them navigate these complexities and the complexities of organizations and help them stand out and enhance their leadership capabilities, grow their strategic thinking, and enhance their ability to inspire and manage their effectively. I think that is a lot about Irene Muinde, who also happens to be a dear friend, and I'd like to welcome her. Irene Muinde, the floor is yours. Thank you so much. So join me by giving a looking for the emoji that claps so that we can welcome her with a standing ovation. Well, as much as we can stand. Thank you very much. Over to you, Irene Muinde. Asante sana.
Wow. Good evening, Vicky, Shim, and everyone else who has joined the call this evening. I am so honored to be here, and that's a warm welcome from Profiles International. It's a great pleasure for me to be here this evening, just sharing insights on this very crucial and important topic before us this evening. So thank you very much. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to share in this platform and welcome everyone else. So we'll get started. I think we've just got like about an hour or so. So I'll just share with you an overview of what we'll be covering on this topic. And kindly, Shim, if you can just begin to share the slides. So great. I think a lot has really been said. And at one time I was like, wow, really, is that me? So thank you once again for having me in the call. So based on my background, as Vicky has said, definitely I'll be sharing from different perspectives, and I will also want it to be as open as much as possible to also get into hear people's reactions, because we feel the importance of enhancing the feedback culture that we have in our organizations and using now in Genos emotional intelligence. So we'll be getting to delve deeper into this topic to just see how do we shift our perspectives going forward. So I just encourage us to be present in the call and keep an open mind, knowing that there's something that we can reflect on, learn, and do it better to enhance a better culture within our organizations and also all the spheres where God has planted us. So to just get us started, we'll be covering we'll be just getting to delve deeper into the topic of building a feedback culture through Genos, and asking ourselves, first of all, why is it important? What are the common issues? What has been your experience, either as a manager, a leader, an employee, or just an observer, depending on where? And then the difference between using Genos, emotional intelligence, in embracing a positive feedback culture, and also then asking ourselves, what is the role of trust and how do we embed trust through all this process? So we'll take a reflection on a number of models, 2 models. I have just, I think, put something together for trust model and also what we refer to as the care model. Yeah, so we'll be just getting into that, and then just the reflections on the takeaways, and also getting to hear your experiences, maybe sharing through the chat. And then we'll have Elizabeth will be also sharing with us the reactions from the chat. Great. I think we can now move to the next slide. So can we unmute and read this together? Go.
As leaders,
The ability to create a personal, emotional connection
Emotional
with
connection
the
of their team, transform a simple
interaction
interaction into a memorable experience.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a quote that I found resonates with the conversation we are having today, because feedback is all about a conversation, even though it can take different formats. So we'll begin by an exercise of just on our own reflections on a time we had. This time we are the ones receiving feedback. Today you may be in a position of leadership where you're the one who is giving the feedback. There will be learning for that, but right now would want to reflect more on a time when we had to receive feedback, maybe from our superiors, maybe also from even sometimes our children. Those of us with maybe teenage children or children who are young adults, I think even before they are getting to teenage, I believe, yeah, we'll always get in to receive feedback. So let's bear in mind the work environment and organizational setup when we are making our responses. So Shimwe, I think we can just go to the next chart to see how this plays in, because we'll now be requesting us to share, to think of a time when we received feedback from our manager. Yeah. And then just click. As you are thinking in a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least in terms of the level of whether it was well managed, to 10 being the best, meaning it was very well managed. I would want us to be very honest and candid with our feedbacks and nobody is going to, with our sharing, and nobody is going to ask you to state the specific ones. And then I'll also open the floor to have at least 1 or 2 people sharing with us what it was about without definitely having to disclose the organization or the names. So Shimi, if you can just click, I think we'll be able to see, conversely, the utterly managed. So I expect responses from on numerical values of 8, 9, 10, representing the extent to which you'd view that the feedback was very well managed, and then 1, 2, 3 on the lower side, meaning that it was utterly mismanaged. So I give us 1 minute to think through and share our responses on the chat, and then one or two of us can be able to share with the rest what exactly happened, what was the incident, and why. So I'll be selecting randomly based on the responses that will have received from the chat. So there you go. We've got 1 minute. Think through, put your responses on the chat, which should be on numerical form, can be 3, 2, or 1, or can be 9, 10, or 8. Then at the end, we'll have people sharing from either side. Good. Let me start opening the chat. I get to see whether we have any responses. Elizabeth, can you see any responses?
Yes, Irene, there's some responses coming in.
I think you just read us through, as even to encourage those who are still thinking through.
Okay, so we have an 8, we have a 10, we have a 9, 8, 8.
Mm-hmm.
8s seem to be quite a number.
Excellent.
We have a 10. Yeah, so it seems majority stating 8.
Good. Excellent. Yeah, so I wanted it to be participative. We need to get in people from this other side, getting to see, do we have anybody who has contrary opinion on their experience, on feedback that was utterly mismanaged? Okay, great. Yeah, so probably maybe we can move to the next slide. And while still on this, I know even at the back of our minds, we're still thinking through. Let's go to the next slide and then see what this means for us. Good. So we see we have the majority of the people are at 8, meaning that they had very well managed feedback, which is very good. And if time allows, I think I just wanted to hear comments from the floor on really sharing the experience on that, and then possibly getting in to get somebody else on this other side who is saying that they had not a very positive experience. Yeah, so do we have anybody who can share from the floor on a rating of 8, 9, 10? Just quickly to just share with us what was the issue and what happened.
Okay, my name is Helen. I'd like to give an example of my experience, which was a 10. We had a 360-degree approach where I was asked to rank myself. And then we had a sit down with the boss who also did his own ranking. And then we discussed my findings with his findings, and we would agree on the ranking based on additional information. And the session went very well. It was very fair. It was based on facts and no complaints whatsoever. So I like the 360 degree. I like the fact that the ratings are being done according to facts and not emotions. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, that was a best practice approach where I believe it was objective because she has shared that it was based on facts, not emotions, and it was also a 360-degree evaluation. Thank you for the share. I think that is quite encouraging and also a point for us to pick and also develop and learn. Great. Do we have now anybody who can share on this other side, but they feel that their feedback was not well managed? Okay, I think in the absence of that, I would just want to probably maybe just to share based on my own experiences in HR management that more often than not would get those like probably maybe at during the annual appraisals and getting in to see where sometimes employee and manager have disagreed on maybe the rating or maybe on some of the aspects of the evaluation. Yes, and sometimes when you delve deep, you realize that probably maybe even the items there have to do with how the issue has been managed beyond the actual results. So I think some of these areas as leaders, as HR leaders, it's always important to bear in mind and prioritize it. So getting into also give a positive recognition, yeah, when you have to want to manage, it's also very important, yes, so that we don't always just look at one-sided type of feedback that has left people sometimes maybe crushed just because of the way it was mismanaged. Yeah, so just positive words like of affirmation would also go a long way in enhancing the quality of feedback and also how we use it as a tool for growth. Yeah, so thank you very much. I just wanted to start on that. Yeah, then we can just getting in to hear from the rest. Yeah, so thank you very much. Shim, I think we can proceed to the next slide. Yeah, so before we go to why it matters, we feel that the way we show up as leaders, as HR, as managers will ultimately impact on the quality of the conversations that we have. Because remember, by the time Irene is showing up at work, I am carrying with me a lot of other emotions. I'm carrying with me a lot of baggage, maybe from where I'm coming from. So that whole person matters a lot. And as a leader, how intentional am I on how I manage myself, how I'm aware of the emotions of those around me. So simply put, we say emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage and influence our own emotions as well as those of others. So in an organizational context, definitely that has a bearing on what kind of culture we create as leaders, because remember, the definition of culture is pretty much more how the leaders show up and what they pay attention to. The things that we have allowed to happen around us, and those begin to define our organizational culture, despite the fact that sometimes we may have very well-written core values, and core behaviors of expectations, but then how we show up could easily affect or impact on those positively or negatively. Shim, just click so that we can move forward. Yeah, so simply put, now the key words in emotional intelligence then becomes in that ability to recognize, understand, manage, and then be able to influence. So it's quite loaded, and part of what we'll be going through this, although it's a very broad area, as Vicky put it at the start, we'll just be attempting to see. I've just done a summary of some of the areas, the highlights of areas that we need to know about, and then at the end, we'll be now interesting you to probably maybe those who would wish to take in more training or more learning around this topic. So we'll just be attempting to share with you some of the best practices. So I have already said that the way we show up now determines the way people feel, and the way people feel and how they treat others will then ultimately have a bearing on their performance, on their retention, on the level of motivation, and how they relate with one another. So I want to believe that beyond the strategy, like we say, feedback is the champion's breakfast. And then they also say that what is eaten for breakfast? Culture can eat strategy for breakfast, isn't it? Yes. So then means that this area around our emotions, our feelings at work, then does have a strong bearing in our strategy, in our business performance, in our PR and how others view our organization out there. Yeah, so basically it does almost touch on almost everything. And I'm sure if it was a physical meeting, would have now more opportunity to just get into share more and getting in to see some of the areas that we may have opportunities where we need to grow. So my hope is that even as we go through this, that we'll use it just as that starting point of creating curiosity to gain more knowledge, more information around this, and ultimately influence how we show up and how we relate to others and how intentional we carry ourselves as leaders who are influencing organizational culture, as leaders who are also influencing and have a direct impact on performance and productivity, and ultimately shareholder value. Yeah, so Shem, let's go on. So how many of us are measuring employee engagement at the workplace? And what are some of the aspects that are included in an engagement survey? That I may not get the answers, but again, it's also a very integral part because it is gonna form part of the feedback that we receive. And then as we put our action plans together, then it's informed by what employees said in the engagement surveys. So most of the organizations boast of engagement surveys of at least 75% and above. And even for those who may have lower engagement levels, it is not to mean that nothing can be done. There are still always opportunities to get into, make a turnaround. And the turnaround is through people, because it's only through people that we can be able to influence the culture, be able to bring a turnaround in terms of performance and productivity through employee motivation. I think we are done with this, so just move. So, simply put, definition of feedback. I also again wanted this to come from you, but I think in the interest of time and the way the call is structured, I will just put in what I got from the Webster dictionary, that it is transmission of evaluative response, reaction, or corrective information about an action, event, process to the original or controlling source. So the leader here becomes the controlling source. So feedback is not just for correcting performance, but it is about connecting with people. And at Genos, we say this needs to happen on a continued basis, because remember how we are showing up as leaders, the kind of feelings and emotions we are carrying, how well are we aware of others' behaviors, and how are we influencing that? So by promoting a two-way feedback system, we feel that it already in itself has already helped in terms of enhancing the organizational effectiveness, and people will always want to know where they stand. And sometimes this can need to happen on more regular basis, on more continued basis. And also as we continue to engage with the different generations at the workplace, then the leader needs also to be aware of the changing shifts and the different expectations from different quarters. So it is a key and an integral tool on employee motivation as we seek to progress forward. And only through, again, an effective feedback system will we be able to foster an environment of trust and psychological safety, whereby people are free to share how they feel. They also can be heard, and not just being heard for the sake of it, that we can use that as a basis of making positive progress within the organization. Do we have any response or any comments so far? Or a question?
No response on the chats yet.
Okay, I
We
think
will
I'll
keep
just
checking.
you can just put in any responses, any reactions on the chat as we go on. Yeah, so we're getting now to delve deeper into the Genos emotional intelligence model, and what is it that we focus on, and how can this be applied in our organizations? Yeah, so some of the common issues before we go to the GI model is we feel that sometimes this can create fear, defensiveness, timing, yeah, and also using the wrong tone. And where does the wrong tone come from? Sometimes poor understanding of others, or what I mentioned, that what I show up on a day-to-day is just a tip of the iceberg. Is that what lies underneath me? What I am carrying, what is influencing Irene to act or behave in a certain manner. So just getting in to be more intentional to work around ourselves, then would definitely correct a number of these common issues that we get into to see. We were taught about having the correct facts in giving feedback. So situations whereby, even somebody has gone ahead and used maybe even the wrong report to form the basis of an important employee decision. Yeah, how would that make the employee feel really? And what would be the likely outcome? Demotivation, and maybe even with time, can even affect the retention index of that organization. So we feel it is lack of EI often that could make this level of feedback not be as effective, and could also affect the focus, how we focus. I've talked about trust and creating a psychological safety mindset within the organization where employees feel valued, they feel trusted, and even if they have not done so well, it is still not to mean that it is all lost. So before we now delve deeper into our main topic, I just want to share this point of reflection to ask that by asking a question on what is the cost of the emotional cost of a poorly delivered feedback. Think of it from a leader to employee, manager to employee, or even sometimes to our other stakeholders, including a supplier, isn't it? almost everything we do has a huge cost or element of risk that is tied to it, either directly or indirectly. So I think as we delve deeper, then we'll be able to really get into see what are the best practices that we preach at Genos that we could apply those behaviors to enhance how we better manage communication within the organization, and particularly when it comes to feedback. Shim? Wow. There's another quote here. I think I want to hear your voices. Can we share it together? Just to confirm that you're in the call.
People
Let's go. People
will forget
Forget
what
Forget
you
what you
said.
What you said,
but
People
will
forget
will
what you
forget
did,
what you did, but people
people
will
will
never
never forget
forget
how you made them feel.
how you made them feel.
Yeah. I do trust that we all resonate with this. And probably along our career journeys, or even in life, we do have those that we feel that, yes, we'll never forget how they made us feel. Could be our cheerleaders, yeah, that kudos, what it made you feel, yeah, that recognition that you received, yeah. And conversely, if it was also not done well, then how we were made feel, what are some of the feelings that could come in with on the not so good side, I would say. What are some of the feelings that somebody could be carrying that, yeah, memories of things that not what they did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Of course, there's anger, yeah, negative emotions. What are some of the negative emotions that we could be carrying on a day-to-day because of the way somebody made us feel? Can you put them on the chat, please? The negative emotions, because at Genos, we are all about feelings and emotions. And there's sometimes, if I'd asked Vicky to be the one to intro the session, should have actually started by asking us to share the feelings and emotions that we've experienced over the past 24 hours. And you'll be surprised how just that journaling, that tracking, then also enables us to be aware of how we feel and how we're likely to make others feel, and what are we carrying as we step out there. Yeah? You see? Correct? Yeah, there's somebody wanting to retract, fear, anxiety, shame, and of course, lack of confidence because you've just been anchored, there's resentment, there's withdrawal when you see people not wanting to share ideas in a team. Yeah, of course, they are angry, they are just not as productive just because of how we made them feel. Yeah, and it is work because sometimes you might find out of a team, maybe just about two, but those two, it's not to mean that it's two, it's two that need where we need to focus on. So you always need to be very much aware on anybody showing up with a number of these areas. You see, even inferiority, feeling isolated. How do you support those kind of employees? And maybe they're coming from a place whereby, yeah, the person who was entrusted to supporting them, they are coming from that place, how they were made feel. Yeah, great. Yeah, so let's go. It's good to just always be aware of the impacts of our behaviors on others and how this could impact the heart of our business. So at Genos, we say that at the heart of our business is the EI. Yeah, be it whether we are dealing at the shareholder level, we are dealing at senior management level, we are dealing with at peer level. So we believe that this applies at each and every level of organization. And you see at the end of it what kind of programs that we run so that we can impact and have a positive organizational culture whereby people are aware and apply and practice emotional intelligence at work. And for your information, I think according to the future of work and the most sought after skills in the future, and even now, I think emotional intelligence is in the top 10. Right now, I don't have the recent survey, but it does range anywhere between 3 and 4. Yeah, just the EI, because it's of the important role that it plays on our interactions at work and the positive outcomes that it does play or bring out if it is well practiced and put in place. Right. Yeah. So at Genos Emotional Intelligence, we have 5 core valued behaviors that we preach, that we tend to delve, actually 6 core behaviors that we talk about, looking at on a scale whereby one could, if it's very well present, then we say it is, if it's practiced, we say it is present. And where it is lacking, we go to the disconnect. So looking at these behaviors, the first behavior is self-awareness. And I'm sure it's not the first time that you may be hearing or learning about self-awareness, but now just delving deeper into what self-awareness is and what it could or can do for us if it is well managed and then practiced, and then we use it to influence others to bring out positive impact in our interactions on a day-to-day basis. So just being aware of my own feelings and emotions is important. And then as a temperament, how do I show up in the event that I'm faced with a stressful situation? So to what extent I am disconnected, or to what extent this element of behavior is present in my day-to-day interactions, my behaviors. Obviously, we do have a tool that can guide us on taking us through to getting how well we are placed on each of these elements. But for now, I'll just talk around them. And then being aware of others. Yeah, and this is where if we are well aware of others, won't we be more empathetic? And then on the converse, if we are not, then we'll be seen to be insensitive. So get me right, the minute we are aware of others, then we'll have a positive impact because we'll be able to practice empathy, we'll be able to show up in the right way and the expectations that may be there at that time, and also having interest in other people's lives. So sometimes as great leaders, we may just fail here. We may have had all the answers to the strategy, answers to those sales volumes and all the management expectations, but that we are insensitive on this aspect. And some of the others may be the key stakeholders of our organization or even members of our team. Then in terms of authenticity and how authentic we are as leaders, being genuine or being untrustworthy. So if we don't walk the talk of authenticity as leaders, then will our team members have trust in us? And what would happen to the organizational performance? it will be impacted. And then the trust dividend will be very low. So we again look at specific aspects of authenticity and how as leaders we are able to demonstrate those on our day-to-day in the places of work, meaning that we are more genuine as opposed to being untrustworthy. Then we have emotional reasoning, being aware of the issues that could be affect or impact on us or others. So how we are able to translate those in terms of our own, how we process them, and even how we stand strong in the event that we are faced with difficult circumstances, including even the basics. So we have either to be expansive, meaning that we are open to growth, to learning, and also to incorporating feedback and to others. Or we can have a limited point of view. And then this limits our ability to also effectively embrace this behavior. Yeah. Then being resilient or being temperamental, this now becomes on the other behavior on self-management. And then how positive are we able to influence? I know we've talked about influence a lot because as leaders, we are influencing on our day-to-day on how we manage, if it's information, communication, how we are directing performance, our goals, and then also how we relate within the team. Yeah? Do we empower or we are just there and being indifferent? So we feel that getting in to understand these core competencies or behaviors relating to Genos emotional intelligence then is a key aspect of leadership that could have a very positive impact in terms of how we show up as leaders, our effectiveness and how we are viewed, and ultimately how we drive organizational growth. Are these elements familiar? Has anyone come across this model? Maybe you can just indicate on the chart if you have come across the Genos intelligence model before. Otherwise, for each of these behaviors, we drive them down further to the behaviors at work. And then at those behaviors, then they are again now rated in a scale of 1 to 5. Then you are able to really gauge yourself based on where I am, and then maybe through coaching or just being self-aware, then you can be able to make positive progress on each one of them to now ultimately enhance your emotional intelligence as a leader. So you can just indicate on the chart if this is the first time you are getting to experience this model, or if you have experienced it before. Yeah, Shim, I think we can proceed. Great. Yeah, so I think this we've already pretty much covered, but just some of the tips that would just somebody we were just sharing and just getting in to see how do this then would they play in. Like if I'm self-aware and I am scheduled for this very difficult conversation with a team member, maybe it relates to performance, maybe it relates to poor conduct, then if it's self-awareness, just getting to understand your emotional state before giving the feedback, we feel this, we need to be intentional to really get into C, because this will ultimately impact on the effectiveness of the session. True? particularly the very difficult conversations. So getting to understand my own emotional state, also understand the emotional state of the other person as part of our self-awareness. Allow the person time if need be. Sometimes it's a difficult conversation and we just want the person to take their time and then only attend that meeting only when they are ready emotionally. And then the authenticity, it has to be in a honest and in a compassionate manner, and also being open to speak the truth with grace. That is what we say. Yeah. And then somebody talked of using facts and data, because through this we build trust. Yeah, people want to really know, how was this decision arrived at? What information? What was the source of information? And sometimes you can get embarrassed as a leader when you see somebody coming into, they have a different report than the one that you had. What will you do? So yes, getting to prepare around it is part of the emotional reasoning, and then how we self-manage ourselves so that we can also remain composed even when we are faced with, how do we measure resilience? Yeah, being faced with difficult circumstances, like maybe criticism, maybe even sometimes openly somebody telling you these respectful words, but you have to remain calm and connected to the core, yeah? And a positive tone and a body language, even when we are faced with opposition, and then positively influencing, yeah? That you always demonstrate a positive mindset, that you are there to help, that you are interested, you have a genuine interest in helping this employee to grow, to move from point A to B, yeah? And this is an opportunity we can even use to probably maybe even talk about individual strengths, yeah? Rephrasing it, using the right language, and just getting in to appreciate the good first before you come into the areas that have not been probably maybe so good. Yeah. Let me check out. Yes, I think, Shim, we need to proceed. Sorry, we're not doing so well on our time. So I'll quickly just touch base on creating trust, with the goal to just enhance that we have working in an area where we have high trust environment, so that is part of our care. And for me, my acronym for trust is being transparent and authentic, and then being respectful, having ability to unite the team even through whatever else is happening, that we must work in harmony. We must be together as a team and work together in unity. And then we also need to show that we care and have a team spirit. I think, Shim, in the interest of time, I'll not dwell on this. I'll just go straight now to the care model, which we also apply to manage difficult conversations, like just ensuring that we have clarity. Yeah. Somebody talked about facts and figures. We've also talked about authenticity. So it's part of that. So let's have clarity on how we engage, clarity on how we manage feedback, and then also having autonomy as managers and as leaders who are managing this kind of process, so that we are able to have and demonstrate a broad perspective into the topic that we are discussing, and then managing the relationships around it, and then being fair and ensuring that we are equitable. We are not, we have understood the team dynamics, and not use this ability or this kind of thing to bring in some level of mistrust, so that we remain fair and in all our dealings and in everything that we do. Yeah, so with that, I think for me, it's just basically this model that I wanted to conclude with, the care principles that we talk about to enhance the level of communication within a team, particularly when we are managing also these difficult and sensitive communications, and also being able to co-create that understanding and having humility. And yes, we remain also as flexible as much as possible because the dynamics change every day. And as leaders, we need to be able to quickly pick out that, bearing in on our EI. Now, we do know that it's important to have a good appreciation of others and being aware of them. So with that, I'm really sorry. I think the timing was quite tight for me. I will stop there so that we can have in any questions, and then we can reflect on our takeaways as we welcome Vicky back to talk to us about some of the opportunities as Profiles International will be offering as our service offerings to our members and also to the organizations in areas concerning on emotional intelligence. Yes, but quickly before she comes on floor, would want to just open it up for any queries or comments before Vicky comes in.
Thank you very much, Irene. So I think in case anyone has any question, this is the time to send your questions. You can just open your mic, you can just unmute and just shoot your question before we welcome Vicky to wrap up this session. I don't know if you're anyone who has a question. Okay, Sally is asking if she can have the presentation. I think, yeah, the presentation can be available. Also, the recording will be sent to your emails. Yes, Patrick, unmute and just speak.
So much, Irene and Ashim, for this presentation. It's really opened my eyes into a lot of things. This is a new model for me, especially we call it Genos intelligence model. Now, you went a little bit so quickly in trying to offer some explanation on is it 6? I think there are 6.
Core behavior. Yeah.
Yes, they were really fast. And I don't know if you just go back to it a little bit, if you don't mind.
Okay, please. Shim, kindly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, the other one. The next slide. The next slide.
Yeah.
No, the one that follows this. Yes, that one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is one now this bit of emotional reasoning,
Mm-hmm.
I think for the longest time, I've been thinking as we engage with the individuals, you see when you come emotionally, then sometimes you miss out on the facts. So that's the bit I would wish some more clarity on it. How do we work with this emotional reasoning?
I think for me, it's good that you have highlighted on this, because particularly depending on the context of the communication or the kind of engagement that you are having in, then that planning, that having all the facts with you, then you'll be able to apply yourself based on the context of the recipient of this information. Because sometimes you may be planning this way, but the ground has shifted. And if we are not going to apply or be aware of that context, then we may come not armed with the right tools or in a better way to support this employee or this person through that particular time. So the emotional reasoning, I had to bring my whole self. I have been already applied the awareness of that other person, and then I'm bringing myself. Then I have to ask myself, what is the context of this person today? It's just been more and more intentional on how we manage a number of these areas, particularly like what I was sharing on. If it's a difficult conversation, it's not a day-to-day, but as leaders, you realize that every so often, yes, we have to be ready to handle those difficult conversations. So
Thank
probably
you.
maybe we could delve deeper into the topic, because even what I'll share in the notes is just this, but we can delve deeper into that if you're really more interested in the topic. Yeah, then I can share my contacts. Always feel free, or even just consult with profiles of myself. Yeah, we'll be able to share more. So thank you for that reaction. Do we have any other reaction?
Maybe I can also add to that emotional reasoning aspect. When we talk about emotional reasoning, we acknowledge that emotions also hold so much information and data. So we acknowledge that the decisions we make, as much as we believe they are based in fact and logic, the science also shows that the emotions we feel play a very big role in the way we make decisions. So much so that it is said that we make decisions based on our emotions. We usually go to look for how to make it logical much later. So emotional reasoning is the art of really understanding how are you feeling about a decision, what emotions are in play for you, and what will those emotions drive you to do, right? And the same happens to other people. So for being aware of them, as Irene said, that what are the emotions that they're feeling and what decisions, what will those drive? What kind of decisions will those drive? Because without this realization, when we're not aware of others and the emotions that they're feeling, we can be caught blindsided. So we can have all the facts, but we find that you made a decision that was correct, but it turns out to be a nightmare because you get pushback, people do all sorts of things because you fail to consider that they are being driven by something else other than the real facts of the case. And so it becomes important to always develop the art and skill of asking and consulting others and being open to hearing others' view, because it's telling you in the area of awareness and in the area of practicing empathy, what are the things that you might not be aware of because they're not on the surface, they're not very obvious, but you need to take them into account.
No, thank you, Vicky. Yeah, so there's a lot more to it, and for each of these behaviors, we are just basically just scratching the surface. For more information on different aspects of how we apply EI at the workplace, I think, yes, Vicky will be sharing with us on more programs that could be available. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here and for your active listening. Yeah, over to you, Vicky.
Thank you very much, Irene, for that really, really insightful talk and for taking us through very patiently how and why emotional intelligence is important and how we can use it at work. And of course, breaking it down simply, step by step through the framework of the Genos model. So for all of you here who have been intrigued and possibly have encountered this model for the first time, of course, this is just an hour and the topic really spans a lot of depth. And I think EI is really sometimes not understood well because emotional intelligence, of course, the two words we might think have, are very simple. We pay attention to our emotions we get a bit more intelligent around them. But there's a whole lot that goes into emotional intelligence. So if this is something that you're curious about, we do run under Profiles a course called Lead, Empower, and Thrive. And the beauty about this course is that it is accessible online. And I think Shim can share a link on the chat where you can click and you can register your interest, or you can scan the QR code that's on your screen now, and we can get to register you. Someone will call you from Profiles, and we can get to understand what you need. The course only takes a month, 4 virtual sessions, but it is live on a digital platform. But it gives you the depth now that you require to really understand what we're talking about around emotional intelligence. Ashim, you can go to the next slide. Okay. And then should you want more than just understanding what EI is, but perhaps you're a consultant, you're in human resources, a professional, and you would like to understand how can you also be a facilitator of conversations around emotional intelligence, just like Irene and just like a few callers on this call. So we do run a certification under Genos Emotional Intelligence Certified Practitioner. And this one really equips you first with a lot of knowledge and, of course, a platform where you can keep learning about EI. It gives you a credential that is recognized globally. So with this certification, you can present it globally and you can be able to work or deliver content about emotional intelligence anywhere. The course is ICF certified, so ICF practitioners do get some benefit in terms of getting CCE hours, and it is also recognized by the Human Resource IHRM, and you get 6 CPD points once you're able to go through the course. It is delivered 3 times a year, March, June, and September. And if this is something that you would like to learn more about, the certification, just put your name and, of course, your email and number, and we shall reach out to you and be able to give you more details in terms of what it is, how much it is, so that it can enable you then to make a difference on when you would like to take it. It takes about 6 months. And this one enables us to become EI practitioners and coaches, delivering EI trainings and interventions for organizations. I don't know if there's any other slide, Shim. Okay, so we do have other certifications that we have, like the Everything DISC Certified Practitioner and the 5 Behaviors Certified Practitioner. All these programs really speak to empowering others towards self-awareness, team coaching, and making the workplace more human, as Irene was speaking about in terms of developing more awareness around the human aspect of managing people. So I think with that, I have covered largely what we have. When we do share out our email addresses, please reach out to us or scan the QR code and we shall be able to get back to you. One last thing I cannot forget to mention is Irene Muwinda is an emotionally intelligent, Genos EI certified practitioner and coach. So should you want more personalized approach, someone to work with, who not only gives you like a cheat code or insights into organization, the politics of organizations, how you can grow in your influence and leadership, also feel free to reach out to her. She has a wealth of experience, is a great coach, has worked with many people in this arena to help them grow their leadership style. And she is only too happy to walk this journey with you. And so with those few remarks, I want to hand it over to Shim to close the webinar. Shim, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for taking time to join us. And I believe this session was educative, insightful, and you've got a lot of insights that you can use to go and make a difference in your workplace, in your people management, or in any area of your endeavor. So our numbers are on the chat, 0722 45 7. Get in touch. We have a lot of tools and tools that you can use to be able to uncover and to unlock the performance of your teams. So anytime, you're welcome to join us. Thank you very much, and see you in the next session. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Nice evening, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Shim.
Welcome.